You're not lazy. You're ambitious and your brain is overprotective. Think of it like a smoke alarm that goes off when you make toast. Loud, annoying, and convinced it's saving your life. So when you picture your big goal, your brain hears risk, effort, uncertainty, the chance you fail, and it yanks the alarm. That's when your hand reaches for the phone, the snack, the inbox, the quick errand, anything that feels safer than starting. Here's the part that stings. The real loss isn't time. It's the belief you can trust yourself. So in the next few minutes, I'm giving you a 4-rule protocol to recalibrate that alarm, plus one reset sentence that stops a bad morning from turning into a lost week. Before the system, I want you to recognize the pattern without the shame, because shame makes you smaller, and your goal requires you to show up. Let me paint a more realistic Tuesday than the perfect day you keep planning. You wake up, you mean it this time, and you even think, I'm going to knock this out early. Then you check one email real quick, and it's a thread from HR about a policy update. Then a calendar reminder pops. Dentist at 2:30, parent-teacher meeting tomorrow, and a coworker moved a deadline forward. Then your adult kid texts, hey, can you look at this lease with me? None of that is evil. But by 11:40 a.m., your brain has made about 200 tiny decisions. And now the big decision, your project, your workout, your side business, your certification feels like lifting a refrigerator. So you do what the overprotective brain loves. You scroll for a minute. You watch something that feels productive. You reorganize a folder. You answer a low-stakes message fast because it gives you a clean, quick win. And at night, you do the quiet math. How did I have a whole day and still not do the thing? If that's you, I'm not going to insult you with just be disciplined, because the problem isn't that you're broken. The problem is your brain is treating your goal like a threat. Here's the mechanism in plain English. The ambitious part of you wants the bigger life, but the protective part of you wants certainty and comfort right now. And when your goal feels uncertain, your protective brain doesn't ask for a thoughtful debate. It hits the alarm and points you toward relief. That relief can be a phone. It can be research. It can be cleaning the kitchen like you're auditioning for a commercial. It can be helping everyone else with their problems so you don't have to sit with yours. And yes, that relief feels good. Not because you're weak, but because your brain learns fast. Avoid discomfort. Feel better. Repeat. That loop is powerful because it gives you something immediate. Your goal gives you something delayed. And delayed rewards lose when you're tired, stressed, or overloaded. Now layer in identity. This is the part people don't like to admit out loud. If you have big ambitions, you also have big self-stories. I'm the kind of person who could do something meaningful. I'm smart. I'm capable. I'm not average. And when you actually start, you create a risk. Reality might disagree. So your protective brain offers a sneaky deal. Stay in planning, stay in fantasy, stay in almost started, and you never have to find out. You can keep the identity without paying the price of effort. That's why the people who care the most often avoid the most. Not because they don't want it, because they want it so much it feels dangerous. So what do we do with that? We stop arguing with the smoke alarm. We recalibrate it. That's what the ambition resistance protocol is. 4 rules, no hype. No pretending you'll suddenly love hard work. You're going to build follow-through the way you build muscle. Small reps repeated with a plan for bad days. Rule 1 is shrink the threat. If your brain sees your goal as a threat, you don't push harder at first. You make the first step so small, your brain can't justify panic. Because the moment the task feels big, your brain starts negotiating. And negotiations are where your day dies. Here's the if-then rule. If you feel resistance, you don't wait for motivation. You shrink the rep until you can start inside 60 seconds. Not tomorrow, not after lunch, inside 60 seconds. Let me show you what that looks like in real life. Scene 1. You're at the kitchen counter, staring at a pile of mail. One envelope is a bill you don't want to open. Your brain says, "Not now," because not now feels like relief. Your rep is not solve your finances. Your rep is open one envelope and write one number on a sticky note. That's it. You can do that even on a bad day. And that one rep changes the narrative from I avoid to I act. Bridge this to your bigger goals. Your goal is not a thing you finish. It's a thing you show up for. So we stop asking, do I feel like doing it? And we start asking, what's the smallest rep that counts today? Scene 2. You're in your home office or the corner at the dining table. You're supposed to write or build or apply or study. Your brain starts a familiar chant. I need a better plan. That's not planning. That's hiding. Your rep is open the document and write the worst first paragraph you can. Yes, worst. You're not proving talent. You're proving attendance. And attendance is what rewires the alarm. Scene 3. You're in the gym parking lot. You told yourself you'd go in. You're sitting there scrolling like it's a job. Your rep is not full workout. Your rep is grab the door handle and walk inside for 5 minutes. If you leave after 5, you still get the check mark. Because the goal is to become the person who enters the building. You can't outthink your way into a new identity. You behave your way into it. Now let's talk perfectionism, because it's the prettiest form of avoidance. Perfectionism isn't high standards. It's fear wearing a suit and carrying a clipboard. It says, let's wait until we're ready. And ready is a magical day that never arrives. So here's the boundary condition for Rule 1. If you keep shrinking the rep and still won't start, your real threat is not effort. It's judgment. It's the fear of bad work. So your rep becomes produce one deliberately imperfect output, one messy page, one rough sketch, one awkward email draft, one version 0, because perfectionism can't survive contact with a timer. Which brings me to a tool you're going to use a lot. A timer is not discipline. A timer is a negotiation ender. When the timer starts, the debate stops. So I'm going to hand you script number 1, word for word. Say it out loud. Not in a motivational way. In a this is the procedure way. I'm not deciding my whole life. I'm doing 1 rep, 10 minutes. Timer on. That line matters because it removes the fantasy pressure. You're not choosing your future forever. You're choosing the next 10 minutes. And 10 minutes is something your brain can tolerate. Here's another if-then. If you notice yourself doing productive avoidance, like researching instead of executing, you switch to a rep that forces output. Research rep, banned, output rep, required. So instead of watch videos about starting a business, your rep is write 1 offer paragraph. Instead of read about fitness plans, your rep is put on shoes and do 5 push-ups. Instead of organize your notes, your rep is answer 5 practice questions. That's Rule 1. Shrink the threat until action is safer than avoidance. Now I can already hear a skeptical voice saying, 10 minutes won't change my life. Good. That skepticism is smart. So here's the trade-off. A 10-minute rep won't finish the mountain, but it will break the alarm cycle. It trains your brain that discomfort is not danger. And once the alarm is quieter, bigger reps become possible. Small isn't the destination. Small is the doorway. Now let's add Rule 2, because this is where most people lose. Rule 2 is buy friction, sell ease. Translation. Make distractions harder and the right action easier. Because on a tired Tuesday, your environment is your real boss. If your phone is next to you, you will check it. Not because you're morally weak, because it's engineered to win. so we don't play fair. We redesign the game. Scene 4. You sit down to work, and your phone is face up on the desk. You tell yourself, I won't touch it. That is adorable. Your rep is not resist. Your rep is remove. Phone goes in another room. Notifications go off. And if that makes you anxious, right now, we know the alarm is loud. You're going to survive the anxiety. That's the training. Here's the friction checklist you can do in 90 seconds. Put the phone out of reach. Close every tab except the one you need. Put the document you're working on in full screen. And put one physical object on the desk that signals work, like a notepad or a sticky note that says 1 rep. Bridge this to the part of you that likes status and competence. High performers don't have more willpower. They have fewer temptations inside arm's reach. They don't white knuckle. They set defaults. Scene 5. You're at work, and Slack is popping like microwave popcorn. Every ping feels urgent. Most of them are just loud. Rule 2 says, you don't need to respond fast to feel valuable. You need to deliver. So you schedule a focus block like a meeting. And you treat it like a meeting. Door closed if you can, headphones if you can't, and you let messages wait 25 minutes. If that makes you nervous, that's your smoke alarm again. Now let me give you script number 2 for the people you live with, because your environment isn't just apps, it's humans. Say this word for word. I'm doing a 25-minute focus block. If it's not urgent, can it wait until the timer ends? You're not asking for a life of silence. You're asking for 25 minutes. Most reasonable people can handle that. And if they can't, we'll talk about a workaround later in the stress test section. Now let's talk about making the right action easy. Scene 6. It's 7:10 a.m. You want to work out, but your shoes are buried in a closet like a time capsule. Rule 2 says, don't rely on morning courage. Set the stage the night before. Shoes by the door. Gym clothes on a chair. Water bottle filled. The rep starts with no thinking, because thinking is where your brain sneaks in a debate. This is why people confuse discipline with being a different person. You don't need to be a different person. You need fewer decisions. Now here's a boundary condition for Rule 2. If you're in a season of chaos caregiving, a messy work quarter, sleep debt, your environment design has to get simpler, not fancier. No elaborate routines, no new apps. One focus block, 1 rep, 1 friction move. That's it. Because complexity is just another place to procrastinate. If you've made it this far, you can feel the shift. We're not trying to be motivated. We're building a system that works even when you're not. And I still owe you that reset sentence. But first, we need the 3rd rule, because this is where consistency becomes real. Next, we're going to stop measuring your life by how you feel and start measuring it by reps. And once you do that, the smoke alarm starts to sound less like a verdict and more like background noise. Rule 3 is score points daily. That means you track reps, not moods. Because moods are unreliable, especially in your 40s and 50s when life is louder than your plans. So we stop asking, did I feel inspired today? And we start asking, did I get a rep? Bridge this to why you keep getting stuck. When you measure by mood, you only act on good days. When you measure by reps, you build trust on normal days. And normal days are most days. Here's the scoreboard. 1 check mark for 1 rep. That's it. No gold stars for suffering. No punishment for not being in the mood. You want a system that works when you're tired, irritated, and busy. So a rep needs 3 things: a timer, a visible output, and a finish line. Visible output can be tiny. 1 paragraph, 1 application submitted, 1 set of squats, 1 invoice sent, 1 page of notes, 1 phone call made. The point is, your brain sees evidence. And evidence beats speeches. Scene 7. It's Sunday night. You're on the couch with that low-grade dread. You're mentally reviewing everything you didn't do last week. Your brain starts bargaining. Tomorrow I'm going to fix my whole life. That thought feels amazing. It also kills Monday. Rule 3 says you don't fix your whole life on Monday. You do one rep on Monday, then another on Tuesday. If you need a phrase for that moment, use this. Big weeks are built from small days. Now, let's be honest about the part you don't like. Discipline feels terrible at first. Not hard, like a challenge. Terrible, like your brain is filing a complaint. It will say you're tired. It will say you deserve a break. It will say you can start tomorrow. It will say, this isn't working, after 2 minutes. That doesn't mean it's true. It means the smoke alarm is loud. So here's the if-then for Rule 3. If your brain is loud, you don't interpret it. You execute the procedure. Timer on. 1 rep. Score the point. Then you can have your opinion. Scene 8. You're in a waiting room. Doctor's appointment, oil change, whatever. Your phone is already in your hand. You could scroll for 20 minutes and feel vaguely worse. Or you could do a micro rep that creates evidence. Write 3 bullet points for the email you've been avoiding. Review 5 flashcards. Outline the first 2 steps of the project. You're not trying to be a superhero in a waiting room. You're teaching your brain. We act anywhere. That's identity training. Now let's talk about the version of you that's status aware. You don't just want progress. You want progress without looking foolish. So Rule 3 includes a private phase. Private reps first. Public results later. You don't announce your new routine to your group chat. You don't tell your coworker you're starting a big thing before you have any output. You build quietly. Then you let the work speak. That protects your ego while your habits are still fragile. And yes, that's allowed. Now I want to hit the 2 small objection head on. If your rep is so small it feels insulting, you're probably doing it right. Because your problem isn't ability, it's starting. And starting is a separate skill. Think of your rep like turning the key in the ignition. Turning the key doesn't get you to the destination, but without it, the car stays parked. Here are 10 micro actions you can use as reps starting today. 1. Open the document and write 1 sentence. 2. Put shoes on and walk to the mailbox and back. 3. Do 5 minutes of the ugly first draft. 4. Make 1 phone call you've been dodging. 5. Clear 1 square foot of your workspace. 6. Set a calendar invite called Focus Block. 7. Put your phone to charge in another room. 8. Send 1 email that reduces uncertainty. 9. Do 1 set of an exercise, then decide if you'll do more. 10. Write the next step on a sticky note. Next rep equals underscore. Now, boundary conditions, because life is real. There are days you should not push for a heroic rep. If you slept 4 hours, if you're sick, if you're in a caregiving emergency, if your brain is fried from a brutal workday. On those days, you do a minimum viable day. Minimum viable day has 2 parts. 1 tiny rep and 1 setup step for tomorrow. Tiny rep, 5 minutes of output. Setup step, put the materials in place for the next rep. That's it, because the goal is not intensity. The goal is staying in the game. Now, Rule 4 is where you stop getting derailed. Rule 4 is repair fast. This is the one most people never learn. They think success is never slipping. It's not. Success is slipping and returning quickly. Because the real danger is not missing a day. The real danger is turning 1 miss into a story about who you are. So I'm giving you the reset sentence now. Say it exactly like this. No court case, just a reset. Next rep starts now. That line matters because it blocks the shame spiral. No jury. No verdict. No, I always do this. Just a reset. Then you do a starter rep immediately. Not later. Immediately. Because the starter rep is the proof that you're back. Scene 9. It's 3:30 p.m. You promised yourself you'd start at 9. It's now late afternoon. Your brain wants to write off the whole day. That's how the spiral wins. Repair Fast says, you do a 5-minute starter rep right now. Open the file. Write 3 bullets. Do 1 set. Send the email draft. 5 minutes. Then you score a point. And watch what happens emotionally. You won't feel amazing, but you will feel less trapped. Because action is the only thing that reduces avoidance anxiety. Now let's address self-talk, because your inner voice can sabotage any system. If you talk to yourself like a disappointed manager, you'll rebel. So your self-talk needs to sound like a calm coach. Not fake positivity, procedure. Here's a script for those nights when you're in bed doing the guilt replay. I don't like how today went. I'm not going to punish myself. I'm going to reset. Tomorrow's rep is already decided. Then you write tomorrow's rep on a note. 1 line, no big plan, just the rep. That is compassion with teeth. Now I want to hit the content trap, because it's a sneaky one. Watching videos about productivity feels like progress. It's not. It's often relief disguised as learning. So here's the trade-off rule. Input is allowed only after output. 1 rep earns your content, not the other way around. If you break that rule, you'll find yourself studying success forever without building anything. Scene 10. It's lunch break. You're about to watch 1 quick clip about discipline. Instead, you do a 10-minute rep. Then you watch your clip guilt-free. That's the difference between consumption and earned recovery. Now let's shift into the objection section, because your brain is going to throw a parade of reasons. And I want you to be ready with counterpunches that don't require hype. Objection 1. I don't have time. Counter. You don't need time. You need a smaller unit. Micro-action. 2 10-minute reps. 1 morning, 1 evening. Objection 2. I'm too exhausted. Counter. Then do minimum viable day. Micro-action. 5-minute rep plus set up tomorrow. Objection 3. My spouse will roll their eyes. Counter. Don't sell them a new personality. Sell them a timer. Micro-action. Use the 25-minute focus block script. Objection 4. My job is chaotic. Counter. Chaos is exactly why you need a protected rep. Micro-action. Schedule 1 focus block and defend it politely. Objection 5. If I start, I might fail. Counter. If you don't start, you already failed by default. Micro-action. Define a safe fail. 1 tiny deliverable. Objection 6. I'm too old to restart. Counter. You're not restarting. You're refining. Micro-action. Private reps for 14 days, then reassess. Objection 7. I've tried before, and it didn't stick. Counter. You tried intensity without repair. Micro-action. Track repair points as wins. Objection 8. I need to feel ready. Counter. Ready is a feeling, not a prerequisite. Micro-action. Start inside 60 seconds with a shrunken rep. Objection 9. I get overwhelmed. Counter. Overwhelm is a sizing error. Micro-action. Write only the next rep on a sticky note. Objection 10. I'm conflict avoidant. I can't set boundaries. Counter. Boundaries can be polite and time limited. Micro-action. Use the timer script instead of a big conversation. Objection 11. People will judge me. Counter. Most people are busy thinking about themselves. Micro-action. Keep reps private until they're stable. Objection 12. My phone is necessary for work. Counter. Necessary isn't the same as constant. Micro-action. Check messages at the top of the hour, not continuously. Objection 13. I'm caring for my parents' kids. Counter. Then your system must be small and resilient. Micro-action. Minimum viable day is your default. Objection 14. Perfectionism won't let me submit. Counter. Perfectionism is fear. Output is the antidote. Micro-action. Submit the version that meets the requirement, not the fantasy. Objection 15. I don't trust myself anymore. Counter. Trust is earned in tiny units. Micro-action. 1 rep today, scored, no speeches. Now I promised work politics. Because sometimes you're not avoiding a goal. You're avoiding the social blowback of prioritizing it. So here's script number 3, word for word, for a boss or coworker when you're overloaded. I can deliver X by Thursday. If you want it today, which item should move off the list? That script protects your status because it's not emotional. It's trade-offs. And grown adults respect trade-offs. Okay, now we stress test this in real life. Because it's easy to be disciplined in a quiet cabin in the woods. It's harder when your life is texting you. Then we'll end with a clean 7-day plan you can actually follow. Let's stress test this, because your brain doesn't fail in theory. It fails on a random Wednesday when life shows up loud and you're already behind before coffee. We'll run real scenes and you'll know exactly which rule to use. Plus, what still counts as a win when the day is messy. Scenario 1. The interruption cascade 3 minutes into your focus block. Your spouse has a quick question. Your phone lights up and your adult kid calls. Bridge line. This is where most people either snap or surrender. Do RP in order. Name the threat. If I stop, I won't restart. Shrink the rep. Just 10 minutes. Buy friction. Phone out of reach. Then score 1 visible output before you rejoin the world. Boundaries work best when they're time-limited and boring. Say, give me 20 minutes and I'm yours. And if they push, repeat it like it's the policy. Scenario 2. The perfectionism spike. You're about to hit send, submit, or publish, and suddenly you see every flaw. Bridge line. Your brain isn't grading quality. It's protecting identity. Set a requirement line. What does good enough to ship look like today? Then ship that version and tell yourself, this is version 1, not the final. Shipping is a rep. Dreaming about shipping is not. Score the point and let tomorrow's rep improve it. Scenario 3. The phone relapse. You picked up the phone for one thing, and now it's been 45 minutes. Bridge line. You don't need guilt. You need a reset. Say it out loud. No court case, just a reset. Next rep starts now. Then do a 5-minute starter rep immediately, not as punishment, as proof you returned. If 5 minutes feels pointless, remember the real product is identity. You're practicing being the person who comes back fast. Scenario 4. The work politics trap. Your boss drops something at 4:50 p.m. and you feel that panic. If I say no, I look lazy. Bridge line. Status is built on clear trade-offs. Use the script. I can deliver X by Thursday. If you want it today, which item should move off the list? If they won't choose, you choose calmly and you document it. You're not being difficult. You're being specific, which is what competent adults do when time is finite. Scenario 5. The caregiving day. An appointment runs long, plans implode, and you're running on fumes. Bridge line. This is when people quit because the system feels fragile. Default to minimum viable day. 1 tiny rep, 5 minutes of output, plus 1 setup step, so tomorrow's rep starts in 60 seconds. That is success on a hard day. Now let's name the fear underneath everything. You're not scared of work. You're scared of what you'll decide the results mean about you. If it goes well, pressure increases. If it goes badly, you feel exposed. So we pick the third option. Repetition without drama, reps without verdicts, progress without theater. That's why Rule 3 and Rule 4 matter. Score points daily and repair fast because they turn motivation into something you don't have to negotiate. Here's the 7-day plan, a 1-week experiment, not a new personality. Bridge line. The win condition is simple: more reps than excuses, and faster returns after slips. Day 1. Pick one lane for 7 days. No switching midweek. Choose a rep you can do in 10 to 25 minutes that creates visible output. Day 2. Set the launch sequence. Sit, open the file, timer on, first tiny action. Make it so easy it feels silly, because silly beats stuck. Day 3. Buy friction. Phone charges in another room during the rep, notifications off, one tab rule. Don't trust yourself. Trust the setup. Day 4. Make a paper scoreboard you can't ignore. One checkmark per rep, and a bonus checkmark any day you repaired after a slip. Day 5. Add a second 10-minute rep only if the first rep is stable. If you're wobbling, don't add more. Protect the one rep. Day 6. Practice one boundary, once, even if it feels awkward. Use the 25-minute script and let the timer do the talking. Day 7. Review like an adult, not a critic. What made reps easier? What made them harder? What's the smallest tweak that makes tomorrow smoother? Notice what this plan avoids. No motivational speeches, no all-or-nothing weeks, and no waiting to feel ready. Confidence isn't the entry fee, it's the receipt. You earn it by showing up on the days you'd normally disappear and repairing fast when you slip. Here's the pocket checklist. Say it like a procedure. Name the threat. Shrink the rep. Add friction to noise. Do the next 10 minutes. And when you mess up, because you will, you don't make it personal. No court case, just a reset. Next rep starts now. Your next step today is simple. Set a 10-minute timer and produce one visible output in your lane, then mark a check on paper. That check mark is you proving to you that you're not stuck.